Let's, hello you lovelies, let's talk about Dune Prophecy episode 4. This episode dipped a little bit for me. I thought it wasn't quite as strong as 2 and 3, about on par for episode 1, but I do feel like it was essential in its pacing and its plotting to get us to what I think is going to be kind of a 1-2 part finale. If you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. We are rapidly approaching 40K. If you don't know who I am, I love comic books. I do comic book reviews, comic book news, the actual books themselves, as well as movie news and TV news and reviews because I love pop culture and the general nerd zeitgeist. So Dune absolutely falls into that. So if any of that intrigues you, interests you, seems like your thing, hit that subscription bell. Also, hit a like on this video because it helps YouTube know you like this video. Pretty intuitive. Leave a comment below. Let's have a conversation about Dune. Was your experience the same as mine, where 4 was a little bit of a letdown with the rapid pace we had developed? Rapid for a slow burn show, I should clarify, but rapid in the Dune world pace we had developed so far. Let's talk about the actual episode. So episode 4 is, to me, like watching a chessboard be set, and there's about to be a chess master act out the final moves. I feel like the board is set, the game is ready to go, but it's only so interesting watching someone set a chessboard, especially after the first episode is a pilot. It's always going to be a little denser. It's always going to be a little bit more acclimating because you're tying in a lot of lore and you're giving a lot of groundwork and world building, and also all of that is while you're getting into these actors' portrayals, while you're finding out how you connect to these characters. So I always give an episode 1 a little bit more grace than any other episode. 2 then really impressed me with its psychedelic visuals, with its like really kinetic energy. Amongst the slow burn, there were these moments of pure fire and like magnesium going off. Then 3 was like a mix where it was very methodical and really well paced, but it was all this flashback that endeared us to the characters we had briefly seen in their elder form in that episode, but mainly had seen in those first couple episodes. And it really made me care about those characters without them breaking the hardened selves they had become. I thought it was a genius way to have those 2 and 3 episodes be kind of a 1-2 punch themselves. But then with episode 4, all of the pacing, all of the drama, I feel like we're a little bit more connected to the past versions of the characters than the modern. So the strength of the way the show's been formatted was I care about these characters now. I think the problem is I care a bit more about the characters in their past than I do in their present. Now, that I think is why episodes 5 and 6 are going to be so great, because now we care about them. Now all the maneuvering's been done. We can get to the big climactic throwdown of what's about to happen, because we have so many duels about to go down. We've got Desmond Hart opposite the entirety of the Sisterhood. We've got his powers on full display. We've got his vulnerability, exposed. He is someone that feels every bit of this, but it's also, he's out there in the open. We've seen what he can do. The world has seen what he can do. We've also got the Sisterhood very exposed for not being, there's a little bit of unconscious doubt that feels like it's ruminating in the whispers. I love the scene of them all kind of in that group chat of primordial time, of like sharing this secret, this game of telephone going around. But even in that, there's an uncomfortability if things aren't going their way. They set up this next giant long-term plan. They've got this, hundreds of year plan, and then they had to remaneuver because of what happened in episode 1 and 2. Now they've remaneuvered, and immediately he took out their plan again. So we're seeing some of the cracks in their plan, but the Sisterhood is still this all-imposing force, and I love the way they use that with the Harkonnens. And we know, if we watch the Dune movies or know the Dune story, I, by the way, have never read the books. I am a Dune movie fan, and the Harkonnens, to me, are this, giant empire, this evil force, and I really loved, with the flashback, we got to see how quick it was. In like one long generation, we went from living on this barren ice planet, but then the wail for exponential increase in wealth to living as these tycoons. And we see over thousands of years till the modern Dune era of the films, where the Harkonnens are now these, empire running government forces of wealth. And I loved that world building. But now we're seeing with the Harkonnens, they finally got their first truth speaker. They have that little bit of power, and we see that they can't wield it yet. The first Baron Harkonnen embarrasses himself because the dude just did everything he was supposed to do, and that plan was thwarted. And all of that thwarting the plan of the rebels who are assembling throughout the season to get to this point. So the big courtroom scene as much as it was a culmination of everything to get to this point, it did still feel like it was just to get the pieces on the board more than an action third act, more than what everything was building to. It feels like the peak of the second act was in this episode. And I speak of structure because the first act feels like the first episode. The second two have elements of a second act, but it's definitely flashback to kind of build. So the second act is a little disjointed in the traditional narrative structure to me, because this episode was almost the entirety of the second act, but I think that's why it felt a little underwhelming, a little underserved, because it just had to get things in position. And I'm not quite endeared enough to the characters to be as aha with moments, or not quite as, it's not revelatory when something happens, because to be honest, I really care about Tula and the younger, sister, what's her name? The head sister when they're younger. So I'm hoping by episodes 5 and 6, when everything comes to a head, we've got the investment built in from the flashbacks. We've got all the chessboard pieces laid, and then they can really throw down with a mix of the mystical and the political and the hyper warlike, which is vaguely political, but action-oriented, I should say. So action, politics, and mystical, I think, are going to come to a head in a very interesting way in episodes 5 and 6. So I think the powder keg is lit. I think the match is going. There was a lot of fire metaphors in this episode. It was being put out. It was being ignited. There was all of that. But I'm really excited to see Mark Strong's indecisiveness bite him in the butt. The dude is always taking credit for other people doing the hard stuff, which I love, by the way, that Mark Strong, who's always playing these incredible, captivating, intense leaders of men, is playing the opposite. He's the facade of a leader, and I love that his Empress wife, who gets her crown in this episode, has been running things that she's been the one betraying. I love that his family is falling apart, that his son couldn't keep it in his pants, and that caused some problems. His daughter is a huge factor in the rebellion. I love all of that, so that's going to come to a head. We're also going to find out just how much it's taken dude out using his powers, and what actually happened in Arrakis. I'm really excited to see what the voice is, those eyes in the darkness. Are we going to see that ultimate worm that later Lisan al-Gaib learns to drive? If that is going to be something that gives Desmond his powers, are we going to see that come to a head? I'm really curious where the Harkonnens land in 5 and 6. There's a real potential for a giant payoff that I think I'm hoping when I look at the greater arc of the show, episodes 4 being a weak spot is just for the sake of the greater good for a 6-episode show, because it by no means was bad, but it wasn't as good as 2 and 3, and it was about as good as 1, which, if you've watched this review series up to this point, I liked, didn't love. If this show wasn't called Dune, if I wasn't invested in the world of Dune, I wouldn't have kept watching necessarily after 2, because I liked 2, but 1 was average, and it only equaled out to like a B-. There's so many shows, and there's only so many hours in the day. So now we're at episode 4. We had a B for 2 for me, my personal experience, a B, and then a nice A- for episode 3. So those two would equal out to a solid BB+, and this is a good show. But with episode 1 and 4 lowering the average, I'm really hoping it sticks the landing to be better than just the Dune name and actually be a compelling series on its own, because I am invested in the Harkonnens. I am invested in the Atreides. I'm very curious about that pretty boy being the, Atreides heir and what that means for the future. That Wes Bentley looking dude, I'm very curious where his world goes, because he's the only rebel that wasn't murked, caught on fire in the courtroom. What happens with him? And the betrayal of turning away the princess and the blue-eyed girl in the bar. I just wish I cared a little bit more about them besides plot convenience. The actors are killing it. There's some really great lines of dialogue, but just a little bit more that I hope comes to fruition in 5 and 6, so the average feels like it elevates. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like on this video so I know you like this video. Please hit that subscription bell. And this show airs on Max. This show is on Sundays. John is here.
It's true.
He airs on Max. He watches this with me.
You just watch me hang out on Max.
He just kicks his feet up to the Max.
Dennis Rodman had a camera in his house. It's like that.
I wish we could do a show that's about things to the max, like an 80s, doing it to the max, and it's on Max.
And every day it's a new topic. We go to somewhere different in the world and we
that's
try a new hobby.
To the max.
Yeah, we're tobogganing
just
to the max.
Up. Yeah,
we're firing pottery to the max.
We just pitched a show.
We did.
I think. All right, Max.
Max hit us. us up. Also,
We're available.
Her name is Valia. Bro.
Valia! Thank you!
I got you.
Valia, I appreciate that. When I didn't know earlier, John knew,
okay.
came in here, fact checked.
And I spent the
Valia,
whole rest of the time
and he's
going,
like,
should I
I'm
yell?
vexed.
I should have yelled.
Do
then.
I?
Now it won't make sense
it's
unless
funny.
I come to the video at the very
Well,
end.
and people will watch and maybe have left. They're like, you didn't even buy his name. And then they'll be like, little did you know,
little did
you
you
get a celebrity shot.
given
Like
Coy
in
the
beer
watch
pong,
time.
celebrity shot.
Should have given Coy that
Sean
watch
Cannon,
time.
we
You
appreciate
would've known
you.
that he learned.
Here you are, Valia.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that this show's on Max, and it drops on Sundays. And this Sunday, that means 2 days ago, a show I'm on is on this very app. You should check out
Came here to hype you
DC
up.
Studios Showcase.
DC
There's a reason I'm wearing this shirt.
Showcase.
It's on Fridays, every other Friday on this very app, as well as on YouTube. So you might be watching this on YouTube. This video, YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find it here. You
can
might be
find
watching
Coy
Dune
on
Prophecy on
Max,
Max. Boom.
Dude, you could have yourself a Coy Sunday. Watch DC Studios, then watch Dune, then come watch the reaction, then come watch your review.
That's
you
so
spend
much.
all day
I
watching
brought you
Coy
5
tent.
hours of content.
Coy
tent.
tent.
I like that. I like it.
Coy tent.
Koi Sundays. Please stay tuned for more corrections as John hears. It goes, I will asterisk that little earmark, and I'll swoop in at the end. Who knows? Might happen to episode 5.
Hey.
Will you be here for episode 5? I
you?
hope you are. Hit that like, hit that comment. I appreciate you. I appreciate John. We'll see you soon. Here on Max, here on YouTube, here us making extreme pitches to HBO Max.
You're at
I think
DC
it's just-
Studios, boy.
I'm so, like, owning this shirt.
You should own this
feel-
shirt.
I feel
You
so-
shouldn't be renting
No,
this shirt.
no,
You
no.
should rent to own
I'm not
it.
going to give it back.
Yes.
Guys, I've decided to
Can't
not
take it
give
from me.
this shirt back.
Can't take it.
All right, bye.